Here, doctor, sit.
7 o'clock, reports surfaced the Jazz star center Rudy Gobert was being tested for coronavirus, and then within 15 minutes, a report that he had tested positive. And at 7:30, the NBA suspended their season.
Welcome to the Layup Line, your daily warm-up for all things NBA. In today's episode of A Place and Time, we hop on the DeLorean and take a trip back to March 11th, 2020, the night that the coronavirus changed the NBA forever. As always, I'm your host, Christian Z. If you're here, I appreciate you, and let's talk some basketball.
Just getting the word in our headphones from our producer, Spencer Julian, about some very sobering news. The NBA has decided to suspend game play following the conclusion of tonight's games. Now,
No, God, please, no, no,
they'll figure
no!
out and try to determine.
Do you remember where you were the day the world changed? How you felt when you heard the news? In order to fully understand how strange of a day that really was, we need to start in the morning. You see, that morning, Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison, which normally would be headline news, except not today. Today was different. Today would be a pivot point unlike any other in our generation. You see, here in the US that same morning, the country finally reached 1,000 positive cases of COVID-19. And in just a matter of hours, coronavirus completely changed our daily life and routine. Fast forward to later that same day, the World Health Organization declares the disease a global pandemic, just a few hours after the NCAA announces it would have March Madness without any fans. Then, at night, President Trump gets on TV from the Oval Office announcing a travel ban from Europe, and Tom Hanks and his wife Rita post on Instagram that they too have been diagnosed while in Australia. Side note, never travel with Tom Hanks. But at least we had sports, a way to disconnect from all the craziness happening in the real world. Before people were panic buying toilet paper and worried about Zoom bombing or drinking quarantinis, we still had the NBA. Some people say that once the NBA stopped, everything else followed. So if that's the case, let's take a closer look to the last normal night of the NBA. Now our night starts in Philly, where the Detroit Pistons lose to the 76ers 124-106. We also had a game in Miami where the Hornets actually beat the Heat, but we're not going to concentrate on these two games for there really was nothing of interest here. Instead, we're going to go straight into our marquee matchup of the night, where the Denver Nuggets played the Dallas Mavericks, and Mark Cuban had one of the realest reactions to hearing the news of the NBA being suspended. Let's listen.
Been seeing it, first reaction and thought when you learn that the season's been suspended.
This is crazy. This can't be true. I mean, it's not within the realm of possibilities. It seemed more like out of a movie than reality.
The whole night seems like something out of a movie, and this game was no exception, as Dallas beat the Denver Nuggets 113-97, with Boban leading the way with 31 points and 17 rebounds.
Are you sure it was Boban? Okay. I don't even know why I asked that.
We now shift gears to Atlanta, to one of the most underrated moments of the night. You see, we didn't know it at the time, and I don't even think he knew it at the time, but this would be the final game for half man, half amazing, all heart Vince Carter. And man, did he end in a high note. Let's watch.
Figures with 12, and the We Want Vince chants continue. Now Vince Carter, a very popular player, and they're going to put him in. Yep, not knowing if it might be the last time. He's enjoyed, he's so loved his relationship with the fans. And as we said earlier, he's been a wonderful ambassador for the NBA for 22 years.
Free throw is good. 136-128. They're going to give it to Vince. He's going to take a three and hit it. Even the Knicks are applauding.
I don't think anyone expected this to be Vince's last dance heading into the game, but what an incredible send-off to such an illustrious career. Still, it begs the question, with Vince being top 20 in all-time scoring, is Vince Carter a first ballot Hall of Famer? Why or why not? Please let me know your thoughts down below. Now, we head over to the final two games of the night, two games that didn't even get played. Pelicans and Kings, which we won't bore you with, and the Oklahoma City Thunder against the COVID-19s. Now this game was of particular interest due to the fact that by 7:10, all pregame introductions were over and Thunder fans were on their feet ready for tip-off. Typical scene, right? Except this game never started. By 7:14, the players were heading back to their locker room, and though the Thunder entertainers did their best to cut the tension, it is revealed at 7:37 that the game would be postponed. Let's take a listen.
The game tonight has been postponed. You are all safe. And take your time in leaving the arena tonight and do so in an orderly fashion. Thank you for coming out tonight.
And then, most fans headed for the exits. However, the Utah Jazz were stuck for a while. In fact, more than 6 hours after the game was scheduled to tip off, the Utah Jazz were still in the arena. Finally, around 1:14 in the morning, when all the testing was complete, the Utah Jazz were finally able to leave, although they ended up having to stay in a hotel in Oklahoma City. But it gets worse. You see, the very next morning, Donovan Mitchell's test results come back positive for coronavirus. This put a national spotlight on both the NBA and the Utah Jazz. Sports have always been a safe zone, a place to escape reality, even if it's 4 quarters at a time. But what happens when the reality is there is no safe zone?
Developing overnight, what a scene in Oklahoma City. The NBA suspended its season after a player on the Utah Jazz tested positive for coronavirus.
And of course, the NBA, I think that was a shock to so many people that this is what we're talking about with this league that is such a part of our culture.
And it is a big part of our culture, which is why it hurt so much the night that the league was suspended. The fear of the unknown now has become the new normal, and looking back 4 months later, one thing is really clear. We can't wait for the NBA bubble to start up and hear some good news for a change.
0 positive COVID-19 tests dating all the way back to July the 20th. This is the second straight week they have reported 0 positive tests.
And we hope that that continues to be the case as we play through the rest of the season and playoffs down in the NBA bubble. Still, we think back of that historic yet surreal night of March 11th and open up the conversation to you guys. How did y'all react when you heard the news? Please join the group chat and comment down below. Like the video and subscribe for more NBA content. As always, I'm your host Christian Z. Thank you for watching the Layup Line, and I'll see you tomorrow.
The Patriots are doing what? This is the NBA snitch line. That's a different number.